Brothers and sisters, thank you again for joining me. I am very grateful for your presence here. I'm grateful for your views, your comments, and I definitely am grateful that the Lord has allowed me to do this. I feel even more inspired now as I open up to what I wanted to discuss today. And as I have been doing so far in order, I've been going through each chapter in Mormon here. And I got to Mormon chapter 6, and I'm just blown away because it's perfect. It's perfect. I needed something that was going to be set up to kind of explain how the Book of Mormon got where it was, and then use that as a bridge to bring somebody up to speed with current affairs and how Joseph Smith brought the Book of Mormon forth. Remember, Joseph Smith is not the author of the Book of Mormon. He translated the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God. He was not the author. We know that the individual prophets were the authors. And what we also know is that Mormon was the prophet who had all the records, and he did as the Lord had commanded him to compile these records together. Just like with the Bible is a collection of records. It's a collection of epistles and many things that we have. And the Old Testament is the record of God's dealings with His people before Christ was born into the world. The New Testament, of course, is the dealings with the Lord's church as it was established on the earth. And what a wonderful, wonderful collection of letters, epistles, and doctrines that we have in the New Testament. Notably, though, the New Testament is not in chronological order, which means that none of the books are all specifically happening year after year after year. We do have the benefit of that for the most part in the Book of Mormon, with the exception of the Book of Ether. And the Book of Ether, if we're speaking chronologically, is in the Old Testament times. But that's for future conversations. Let's get right into what we're doing now. I'm sorry it took us 2.5 minutes to discuss what I wanted to, but I think bringing you up to speed on where we are and what I'm trying to accomplish here will give you a better understanding. So we're going to go ahead and open up to, like I said, Mormon chapter 6. And I'll, of course, write down here somewhere, have the link for you, so go ahead and go there. And if you haven't, take the time, pause it, say a prayer real quick, try to see that the Lord can guide you through this, that He can help you understand, give you perhaps a spiritual perspective that I can't possibly hope to give you, but also pray that you may have understanding, so that together we may be edified. So here comes the chapter heading to Mormon chapter 6. It says, the Nephites gather to the land of Cumorah for the final battles. Mormon hides the sacred records in the hill Cumorah. The Lamanites are victorious, and the Nephite nation is destroyed. Hundreds of thousands are slain with the sword. A lot goes on in this chapter, but good stuff. Verse 1 says, and now I finish my record concerning the destruction of my people, the Nephites. And it came to pass that we did march forth before the Lamanites. And I, Mormon, wrote an epistle unto the king of the Lamanites, and desired of him that he would grant unto us that we might gather together our people unto the hill Cumorah, or unto the land of Cumorah by a hill which was called Cumorah. And there we could give them battle. And it came to pass that the king of the Lamanites did grant unto me the thing which I desired. And I really can only speculate, but it seems obvious to me that the king of the Lamanites, who was relatively certain of the Nephites' destruction, would have said, what better chance to destroy all the Nephites at once than to allow them to meet us all at one place? Sure, let that happen. So I'm fairly certain that was the logic that the king of the Lamanites used in saying, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And in verse 4, Mormon continues. He says, "And it came to pass that we did march forth to the land of Cumorah, and we did pitch our tents round about the hill Cumorah. And it was in a land of many waters, rivers, and fountains. And here we had hoped to gain advantage over the Lamanites." Now, if anybody understands Book of Mormon history or early church history, they will know where the hill Cumorah is. But if you don't, we'll discuss that in the second segment of this video, because I want to get on to reading right now. But in the second segment of the video, we're going to discuss the geographical location for the hill Cumorah and what that means for the distance that the Nephites and the Lamanites traveled in this war, as the Lamanites were kicking their butts clear from Central America up. Alright, moving along here. It says, "And it came to pass that we did march forth to the land of Cumorah, and we did pitch our tents round about the hill Cumorah. And it was in a land of many waters, rivers, and fountains, as I said. And here we had hoped to gain advantage over the Lamanites." That was me rereading verse 4. Verse 5, though, interesting. It says, "And when 384 years had passed away, we had gathered in all the remainder of our people unto the land Cumorah." Every last Nephite was there, ready for this war to happen. Verse 6, pretty lengthy, but it explains a lot. It says, "And it came to pass that when we gathered in all our people into the land Cumorah, behold, I, Mormon, began to be old. And knowing it to be the last struggle of my people, and having been commanded of the Lord that I should not suffer the records which had been handed down by our fathers, which were sacred, to fall into the hands of the Lamanites, for the Lamanites would destroy them. Therefore I made this record out of the plates of Nephi, and hid up in the hill Cumorah all the records which had been entrusted to me by the hand of the Lord, save it were these few plates which I gave unto my son Moroni." Verse 7, "And it came to pass that my people with their wives and their children did now behold the armies of the Lamanites marching towards them, and with awful fear of death which fills the breasts of all the wicked did they await to receive them. Men, women, and children, full of fear, not ready to know what death was going to be like." Verse 8, "And it came to pass that they came to battle against us, and every soul was filled with terror because of the greatness of their numbers. And it came to pass that they did fall upon my people with the sword, and with the bow, and with the arrow, and with the axe, and with all manner of weapons of war. And it came to pass that my men were hewn down, yea, even my 10,000 who were with me, and I fell wounded in the midst, and they passed by me, that they did not put an end to my life." I find that interesting, because in a lot of texts, a lot of brutal wars, what will happen is people fall down, and yeah, they're inevitably going to die because of the injury that they receive. It's a mortal wound, but what do we see time and time again is people will walk by and they'll just stick them again, or they'll shoot them again in war, and that's brutal. But this is the type of things that the Lamanites were doing to the Nephites. But like I said, come back, please rate and comment, and come back and we'll talk about the hill Cumorah. We'll talk about the continuation of this war.